Hi, my name is Todd Schmink, and this is one of the skills section in Thriving with Anxiety. This skills section will go over a few simple but effective coping techniques that you can use in times when you're feeling emotional distress. Another way of thinking about this is that these are self-soothing or self-regulating skills. These skills are particularly useful when the autonomic nervous system, or the limbic system, the fight, flight, or freeze aspect of our being, is triggered. Once this is actually triggered, it does take a while in order for the body to calm itself down. But these particular techniques I have found have been useful not only for myself, but with others that I have worked with as well. One of the first skills comes from the DBT skill set, and it's simply called changing the temperature. With changing the temperature, what we want to do is to affect areas of the body which are more typically sensitive and susceptible to changes in temperature. Now the thing is that most people already do this particular skill. Have you ever been on an airplane and it's been a long flight? Or have you ever gotten any news that was emotionally disturbing? What did you do? I've seen it several times. I used to fly quite a bit. I used to see several people in the bathrooms after a long flight dealing with upsetting information that they may have received via text or email or a phone call in the restroom, simply filling their hands with cool water and applying it to their face. I'm sure you may have also tried something like taking a damp washcloth and lying it over your eyes as you lay back to try to calm yourself down. These techniques work, and they work for a reason. When you apply cool water to the face, whether you cup your hand or you use a Ziploc bag that's filled with cool water and you apply it to your face, it causes something to occur called the dive response. Now this takes about 15 to 30 seconds before you'll notice it, but you should definitely notice the difference. When you go and trigger this, you will actually cause the heart to slow down. You will cause more blood to go to the brain, and the blood flow to non-essential organs will be slightly reduced. Now, obviously you can't see this happening, but you can definitely feel something like this happening. And I've used this technique with those who find themselves in stressful situations, such as EMT technicians, with doctors, paramedics who respond to a highly stressful situation, and even to lawyers before they're about to go into court or right after they come out of court. And I've also worked with a police officer, giving him these skills for stressful times as well. So in other words, utilizing this will help you to manage and to regulate your current emotional state. It's important to note that very cold water will often not have the same effect and might actually put you at risk. So I don't recommend that you plunge yourself into near freezing waters. Building upon this changing of the temperature, perhaps you don't have a time or place where you can lie down and put a cool bag or a cool damp cloth across your eyes, or even have access to be able to wash your face with cooler water or apply it around your neck. Perhaps you're going into a meeting and you don't want to look like you're sweating as you walk into the meeting, which is what the cool water on the face might actually look like. So the second thing you could try is to actually simply run cool water over the back and then the palms of your hand. So underneath the water, flipping them back and forth, paying attention, being mindful of the sensation, and waiting that 15 to 30 seconds in order for it to begin to do its magic. Not quite as effective as working with the face, but I have had several people report that this technique all by itself works wonders, and I myself use this exact technique before I sat for my licensing exam. Now, perhaps you don't have a bathroom nearby, and you don't have cool water that you can put over your face. So a third option would be just to go into the meeting or into the situation and grab yourself a cool bottle of water or soda, just as long as it's cold. Something you could actually utilize a very similar tactic to washing your hands in the bathroom, but you could bring into the meeting with you. So you're holding the can or you're holding the bottle of water, You're able to put your hands on either side of the bottle of water, and you're able to take some of the cool water off of that, and you can wipe it on the backs of your hands. And it's possible you might even be able to get enough condensation on your hands to then move up and wipe the back of your neck, keeping your temperature down, keeping the temperature regulated. This would be especially important in a long meeting. It's also a great way to refresh during the middle of a meeting without anybody really noticing that you're utilizing this coping strategy, this self-soothing strategy. Other self-soothing type strategies would simply be utilizing things that you associate with a pleasant feeling or sensation or recollection. Perhaps you were once sitting in Paris, sipping on a cup of coffee that had a slight flavor of chocolate in the background. So sitting in a meeting or sitting at home dealing with a stressful situation, if you were to engage in something like that, you will be remembering or triggering some of the emotions that went along with the memory, and therefore help to slide you, not completely, but definitely help to shift your emotional state. Another thing to keep in mind, and this is more so going to be useful at home if you're dealing with an emotional situation, is the more you can engage the senses, the easier it will be for you to calm down, to move yourself down just one notch at a time on the anxiety scale. So that would be having music in the background, something that's light, something that you associate with pleasant times. It could be nostalgic, you're listening to the music of the 80s, or maybe you have gone to mindfulness classes, yoga classes, or retreats. You might want to try to find the music that you had at that time and play that in the background. Now, the smell could be that cup of coffee or a hot cup of cocoa, or perhaps even the smell of apple juice. Everybody's different. But you could also use something like incense, perhaps incense that you had experienced when you had gone for a retreat, a mindfulness practice session, or during yoga. A great way to have a multisensory engagement is, of course, to go for a walk in the woods or a walk at the beach. I'm sure most of you have done this already, possibly without even thinking about it. But I bet you if you sit back and you recollect or you remember those types of situations, you will also be able to see that during those times you were able to calm yourself down. Now, when I say calm yourself down, what I'm not saying is that the emotional state will go away. In other videos that I've produced, I talk about how getting rid of an emotional state is pretty close to impossible, if not impossible. But what we can do is, if you were to sit down and gauge, where am I? How am I feeling when it comes to this particular aspect? On a scale of 0, no anxiety whatsoever, to 10, I can't handle this and I really need some help. So where would you sit? Ask yourself, where am I on a scale of 0 to 10? If you find that you're at an 8 or a 9, start with that. See if it's possible then. So simply say to yourself, I am at a 9. See if it's possible to utilize any one of the techniques that I've talked about. This could be the sensory, this could be these changing the temperature, this could be sipping on something that reminds you of a good old days. And just see if it's possible for you to relax, to allow that to move in your body and allow yourself to go down just one notch. So we're moving from a 9 to an 8. What would you need to do to move from a 9 to an 8? And give that a try. So this concludes this skills section in Thriving with Anxiety. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you find the information valuable. Now, of course, this information means nothing if you're not actually giving it a go and practicing it, and remembering to practice it, and reviewing this when it's possible. Just like anything else in life, if we don't take time to practice it, we can't expect that we're going to utilize it, especially during those times when the fight, flight, and freeze aspect, the autonomic nervous system, kicks in. It's during those times that the left side of the brain is completely left out. The emotional, or the right side of the brain, completely takes over and runs the show. Thanks so much for listening. See you at the next video.